Hello, YouTube followers and podcast listeners. It is, of course, me, Mike, your friendly neighborhood dungeon master for Easy Rollers, D&D, Amion. I'm here to apologize, effectively. So you will know episode 13, if you're a YouTube watcher. You have had a podcast episode instead. This is because we had a technical issue where I couldn't get the cameras to work, so there was nothing for you to see, hence the podcast episode for episode 13 being there. For episode 14, solved the video issues. However, in doing so, I thought the sound was working properly, and it wasn't. I neglected to look at that because I spent too much time looking at the video. All the levels are bouncing. I don't really know what happened. Long and short of it is this. There isn't actually an episode 14. Episode 14 has video, but it has no sound. And there's not much I can do about that. It only records in one place, and it didn't record. So I'm going to give you a recap or a rundown now of what happened in episode 14 ahead of episode 15, which, fingers crossed, everything was going to work as it should do and has done without a hitch every other time. So, in episode 14, the party began just off the side of the road, camping on the Forest of Orofarn. The day before, they'd obviously found the body of Rose beside the road, and they decided they were going to move on back towards Porthbree, leaving the body there for nature to do its thing. Opal was very hungry and was sort of tempted to go looking for food in the form of venison or something like that. But having Rolio nearby, a human, the smell of a human just kind of got the better of her, and she really, really wanted to have some. She asked, and Rolio agreed, and I had her make a constitution roll to see if she can stop herself after a period of time. Unfortunately, she failed, and the party had to free Rolio from her grasp, where she was very apologetic, but they had to then do something to bring Rolio back to health because he was very badly drained of his vital juices. Oh, Christ, that doesn't sound right, does it? Anyway, never mind. Vital juices is what we're going to go with. And so they set off. Largely an uneventful trip. They closer to Porthbree, where there's more sort of like farmland, just off the moorland. They came across some farmers stood around looking quite puzzled in a field. They went and investigated to discover the farmers being plagued by kind of like a group of beast folk, but not quite. They're more animalistic than they are sentient beings, if that makes sense. And they're called the Molekin, or the Mole Folk, I believe the NPCs called them at the time. They're a rather troublesome underground dwelling group of humanoid moles that cause havoc for local farms and generally just a pain in the backside for people who are trying to work the land and make a living. This is because of a long-standing feud between such people and the Molekin. They sort of invaded where the Molekin were. Well, not invaded, but they started working the land, which upset the Molekin because they were trying to drive them away from their homes so that their fields would be ruined by the molehills. Fearful of a fight, as they were warned these Molekin are quite vicious, Gottel actually come up with a plan. He was going to use bagpipes and play some terrible music to drive these things away, a bit like the Pied Piper, but the opposite effect. Rather than attracting them, he was repelling them. Opal used this sort of time to also feed once more. She actually stole away one of the farmers and unfortunately murdered him, and tried to hide the body as best as she could. They moved on back to Porthbree, where people weren't exactly happy with her for what she'd done. They all kind of like separated a little bit. Rolio and Brennan returned to the cottage where they discovered that Doodle McGuigan didn't think they were coming back, and so started taking liberties living rent-free in this cottage, which he had no right to do, and had used it to attract young ladies back for, as he put it, sexy time. They ordered that he put the house back to the way it was, and so he began doing so. Opal went off in search of blood again. She returned, or was trying to return, to the tavern on the waterfront. Not the Drunken Fungus, another one. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. She went down there to try and see if she could find one of these ladies of the night, let's say. But unfortunately, the whole area was shut down and locked down by a group of pirates. It turned out it was Camilla Runze's son, who'd heard news of his mother's murder and had come looking for revenge. He was building up a posse, if you want to call it that, to go against the city guard and council, who were apparently doing nothing about this murder. So he wanted that dealt with, and the only way he knows how is through violence and intimidation. She wasn't allowed through the blockade, and so she decided she was going to turn back and head to the cottage herself. Gottel had gone off to the Drunken Fungus, where he did, I believe, an act. And I'm trying to remember what the other part he done was. I believe he was also looking for information on things going on. And then he returned to the cottage, and that's pretty much where we left it. I kind of dangled a little carrot in front of them. The Colosseum, there's an annual tournament due to start there soon. That was the thing he discovered. He discovered that there was a green dragon noted to be approaching Port Horizon, which is in Ventus, just across the sea from Porthbury and Meneth. And yeah, again, I dangled a little carrot. There's going to be some games at the Colosseum they could go and see. And that's pretty much where it is. There will be, at the start of episode 15, I will do a bit of a comprehensive recap. I'll get the guys to kind of chime in with some of the things that I may have forgotten detail-wise that they've remembered from their notes. And I'll put together a better recap for the start of episode 15. As I say, thanks for watching this or listening to this, if you are. I do have some plugs for a couple of people that we have partnered up with. They will come in episode 15. I don't really want to put them into this sort of broken recap of a episode, if you can really call it any of those things. But again, yes, thank you for watching this if you're on YouTube. Thank you for listening if you're on your podcast. I'm really sorry that this technical fault has occurred and I don't have anything for you for episode 14 beyond this. We'll make sure that we have no more technical gremlins in the pipeworks causing problems for us in the future. So thanks very much again. We look forward to seeing you for episode 15 in about, just under 2 weeks. So thanks very much. Enjoy your bank holiday if you're here in the UK. Elsewhere in the world, enjoy your weekend. Thank you.